Hello and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. I am Jax and this is my journey through IVF, infertility, adoption, and parenting. And if any of that sounds delightful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to join the journey. But today, I am going to be giving you the perfect recipe for safety raw cookie dough because we all need a treat every once in a while. If you are health conscious or vegan, I have alternate recipes in the description box below, but this one we're making today is my personal favorite. I also had some of my girlfriends taste test these recipes as well, and they agree that this is the best version, but they also definitely ate and indulged in the other recipes as well. And in case you're wondering what's so bad about eating just normal raw cookie dough, it carries a risk of salmonella because of the eggs and the flour if those aren't pasteurized. So I'll describe more as we get into the recipe, but we're going to make it safe to eat raw so you can indulge without feeling guilty, at least about the healthiest. All right, let's jump in. First things first, just like any baking recipe, you're gonna wanna put together your sugar and your brown sugar, and then your fat. In this case, we're using butter. And then get those really mixed together. Now, I have softened my butter to room temperature, but if you're in a rush, you can melt it. It will just change the texture of the cookie dough, but because we're not baking it, it is okay to melt it instead of let it get to room temperature. But if you were going to bake cookies, it is never okay to substitute melted butter for room temperature softened butter. Put that to the side. Next, we need to get our flour and we need to pasteurize it. Before you ever measure any flour, you should whisk it. You never want your flour to be compact while you are measuring it. To pasteurize your flour and make sure that it's safe, you need to reach an internal temperature of 160. You can either bake it, or a really simple way is to microwave it for about 60 seconds. Now, if your butter was salted butter, then you can skip adding additional salt, but mine was unsalted, so I'm gonna add about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Now, you may be asking, if we're not baking this, why are we adding those things? Those are actually really important to the taste. Now, I'm going to whisk together my dry ingredients and add them to my dough. Because we don't need to bake this, we don't technically need eggs, and because they carry a risk, we're going to leave them out and instead replace that moisture with water. I use Watkins baking vanilla, and vanilla is actually one of the first things you kind of want to upgrade if you decide to take baking a little more seriously as a hobby, because a good quality vanilla can make all of the difference. Now that we have all of our wet ingredients together, it should come together as a cookie dough. And finally, of course, it wouldn't be chocolate chip cookie dough without the chocolate chips. Of course, you can add as many or as few as you want, depending on taste. Your finished product is gonna look a little bit something like this, and it's almost indistinguishable in texture and taste from classic cookie dough. Quality check. Oh, yeah, so that's good stuff right there. This safety raw cookie dough rocks. It's quite delish. Really hits the spot when you're just looking for a little sweet to get through your day. And this is the, oh my gosh, something's really happening size portion, but you can definitely cut that in half, put the other half in the fridge, and save it for later if you're just looking for like a little afternoon treat, a little afternoon dessert. A congratulations you got through the day type of thing. Whatever, not gonna judge you. I'm definitely gonna go eat all this, so do whatever you need to get through IVF or whatever you're fighting through today. And remember, ladies, keep on fighting. See you next time.